I'm not allowed to eat at Chick-fil-A because they're
You have a
really
conscience?
homophobic.
You have a
No,
conscience?
so Chris
Values?
has forbade me to eat at Chick-fil-A. And so sometimes, so here's what she said. We're not allowed to give our money to those organizations that are homophobic, right? And that makes perfect
Mhm.
sense. So I
Right.
found a little workaround. So when I was on the job, I would be with Commander Jack, and he would always want to go to Chick-fil-A, and I would make him buy it for me. So that's the workaround. It didn't come out of our
No, that's not a
finances.
workaround. That's deceptive,
Yeah.
dumb
That's a
fuckery, and
loophole. That is a
tomfoolery.
loophole.
No, that is not a loophole. That's deception.
Yeah, well, and then I retired and I didn't have Jack anymore. So now, so I travel a lot. And when I'm looking for something healthy, have you ever had their naked nugs? Man, and their kale
They're pretty
salad.
good.
So I have to
Yes,
hide
you mix them
receipts.
together. Yeah.
I have to hide receipts.
You
I
can't
have to
hide from
hide
your
packaging.
content. You cannot hide
You
from
need
your
to hide this
content.
podcast and hope I don't use it for the cold open.
The Hollow Buddy. And we all feel hollow sometimes.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Hollow Bunny Leadership Podcast. I'm Kristen Ziman, and I am here with my wise and wonderfully witty co-host, Syliva Moir.
Wow.
This space is for anyone who leads, who lives boldly, or is simply trying to figure out how to do both. And today we're diving into a topic that gets bulldozed by busyness and rage in pertaining to me. We're talking about joy, inspired by a brilliant article in the Harvard Business Review. We're going to unpack how the busiest people still find joy in their lives. So turns out it's not like actually about having more time. It's about how we use the time we have.
For sure. And Kristen, we get asked this a lot. It's like, how do I do this busy executive thing? How do I find work-life balance? We push up against that. But what we're doing now is we are responding to our listeners and we're bringing them some research-backed strategies regarding joy. So let's do this thing. You need joy. I need joy. We're busy people. So let's talk about it. Okay. Harvard Business Review, July, August of 2025. So we're bringing you the very best, the most contemporary stuff.
Hot off the press.
Hot off the press. Mm-hmm. Yes. So only subscribers get it early, right? So how the busiest people find joy, 5 research-backed strategies by Perlow, Menster, and Affinito. So it says, that research is really suggesting to have a satisfying life, you need 3 things. And we know these 3 things. I'll just tell you what they are here. Achievement, which is recognition or a sense of accomplishment. So achievement's number 1. Number 2, meaningfulness, which is really a connection to something bigger than yourself. We've talked about this a lot in terms of the second mountain and a number of things in terms of doing meaningful stuff. So achievement, number 1, meaningfulness, number 2, and number 3 is joy. And that's basically happiness or positive emotion. And that's what the research is finding, that we need to have a positive life. So, Kristen, the first 2 are kind of easy to grab onto, right? Mm-hmm. But that third one is often elusive.
Joy.
Let's pick this apart. What do they say?
Yeah. So this article, they actually broke down 5 ways to find this joy. So these are 5 research-backed strategies that show how joy isn't just for weekends or vacations in Hawaii, right, producer Ted, but it can be built into the cracks and the chaos of our everyday life. So whether you're on a walk, stuck in traffic, hiding from your responsibilities, the first thing that they outline is engaging with others. Now, this, I think, is the greatest low hanging fruit of them all. And I mean, and I can illustrate that just simply in times where I was feeling overwhelmed at work, or even if I had a bad attitude at work. You know how sometimes you can get bogged down with the everyday bureaucracy that is our jobs, putting out fires. And I remember those moments where I found myself becoming disengaged, or even worse, apathetic, or even having a bad attitude. And I found that the one thing, simple thing that I could do to get me out of that funk was to get my ass out of the chair, out of my office, and to walk down into the police department and go to roll call. And I found myself with just no agenda, with no formality, just go in, engage with the officers. I would always find myself then walking down the hallway with someone, talking with them. A simple, "Hey, how's it going?" would open up dialogue, and I would learn something. And I was always reinvigorated every time I left my office and engaged with humans. And we forget that human connection is the thing that we thrive on it, and it puts energy into us. So we need to be deliberate about that. So I loved number one.
Yeah, because people get more joy from doing things or activities with others than from doing them alone. I mean, it also speaks to team sports, team activities, volunteering, going out for whatever. When we connect with people, to your point, that was found to be the most significant, and your experience speaks to how that got you out of a funk. So number one,
Yeah. Don't you
connect with
find though
people.
that that's like a thing that we fight all the time? I mean, just think about like right now, people know, those who know us, I've been at home taking care of my wife who just had surgery, and I have not left the house. I've not
Little
traveled for 8
crabby,
days. So I'm
little
a
crab
little
cakes.
crabby. And I'll tell you what,
Uh-huh.
last night we were able to get her out of the house, and
Mm.
even on her limpy leg, and we went to go socialize with neighbors. And I came home like full of energy, just that human connection.
Mm.
But why is it though that we fight the urge? Because it is so much easier to stay on the sofa, to stay in our offices and say, I've got to get this work done, or I don't feel like it, when we know we'll feel better if we just show up. But why do we have such resistance about engagement?
Because we feel like we're busy and we want a passive pursuit where I just don't want to think about stuff. I don't want to engage. I don't want to think about what I'm going to wear. Don't want to
Mm-hmm.
think about what I'm going to bring.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm going to somebody's house. And you and I have talked about this a lot. I do this all the time where I'm like, I don't want to go. And when I go, I'm like, hell yeah, that was
Yes.
awesome.
Showing up
Totally worth
always,
it. It's getting
always.
past that initial reaction of, oh shit, I don't want to go. Because
Mm-hmm.
I think we engage in passivity because we just don't want to be. But number two really urges us, in terms of the five things, really urges us to fight that necessity. And it argued in this research, avoid passive pursuits.
Yeah.
And really, how we spend our free time, if we do it in passivity, it's actually degrading to our joy. What did
Mm-hmm.
you think when you read that?
This is the biggest rabbit hole that I fall into when I get tired of writing, when I, push myself away from
Yeah.
building the next keynote, and I find myself, because I love doom scrolling. I can find myself on TikTok, and I try to tell myself that I've curated my feed purposefully, and that the good stuff comes in, like the things that I like to follow, like leadership and really funny things. But that's not how it works. There's all kinds of
Yeah.
things that get put into that algorithm, and that dopamine hit, it's like it's really hard to stop scrolling, especially when you're entertained and you start laughing and you move on to the next one. So that is the rabbit hole that I go in. And then when I
Okay.
become conscious, I do self correct. I course correct pretty quickly, because I will suddenly go, I have just wasted 20 minutes and I have gotten absolutely nothing from it. But it takes consciousness to course correct, because I can fall into that like most people, and ooh, I'll come out of it and go, what did I just do?
Right. And we've talked about that. I took Facebook and Instagram and I put them on the back of my phone on the last page, right? And I
Yeah.
don't get notifications because I'm like, I was doing the same thing. And you kicked me in the ass and said, how much time are you spending? Right. I was spending like an hour and a half on
Yeah.
that shit. And I don't want to do that. So this, like, look, I'm wearing my golf attire today because I am
Yeah.
going to play golf.
Oh,
And so I'm going to play golf at the end of the business day. So I'm super stoked about that. That is a connection with people, with my
yeah.
person. It is an active pursuit. It's something that I am working to make central to my life as an active pursuit and really working on the craft. Plus, I can't run anymore. So I've
Yeah.
got to find something I can do. And so I think two things that really come up here. One is that number one is connectivity. And
Hmm.
number two is avoid passive pursuits. The
Yeah.
research showed that people derive more joy from active pursuits, even if it's an active solo pursuit, than they do in a passive pursuit,
Yeah.
period. And
Yeah.
so it's totally okay and permissible to zone out, chill out, decompress. But the really urging is that a passive pursuit really amplifies joy.
Yeah, so I think the key is to examine your unwind routine. Is it actually recharging you? Do you walk away going, I just wasted time? Or is it with engaging with others, which can
Yeah.
with the solo pursuit also
Yeah.
is not engaging with others, but it can still fulfill you. Things like doing like painting, exercising, writing. What is it the thing which is actually kind of moving into number three, which is follow your passion. And I want to challenge this a little bit, but the idea for me about what constitutes passion is actually not passion. I kind of think it's bullshit when people say follow your passion. Um,
Okay.
I think that it's better stated to follow your energy. You know, that thing that you do, what is your thing that you lose track of time, where you go into that flow
Mm,
state, the thing that you
yeah.
love to do, whether it be reading, whether it be writing, whether it be golfing, where you're like, wow, I forgot to eat because I'm enjoying it. That's where your energy lies. When you wake up in the morning and you're like, this is the thing that I want to do. We tell people to follow their passion, but I think that we're misleading them. And I think we need to tell them to follow their energy. But that's just maybe a small nuance. But the point is that your joy increases when you engage in something meaningful to you.
Right. And it's the offer was things that you find meaningful and worthwhile, not what somebody else finds meaningful and worthwhile. And you are really good at challenging habits. I suck at habitual routines. I mean, except, okay, Sarah, the style lady, said I was okay for putting my clothes out and top to bottom every night,
Yeah,
and
she
doing
loves
those
that.
kinds of
She
habits.
approved of that.
Yeah. I mean, that one was pretty good. Making the coffee, everything's set, right? I don't even have to think about it in the morning. But it's the things that we find worthwhile. And then
Mhm.
I guess I have to say, Kristen, there's a part of me that when I start just doing it by habit and I'm
Mhm.
not intentional and purposeful, it lacks its worthwhile kind of thing that it gives me. And when I start feeling comfortable with it, I usually challenge it and try to shift it some way. Is that
Yeah.
stupid?
No, I think that's brilliant. And in fact, we should put a book in the notes, but I make, I want to, there's a book on mindfulness written, and she starts out, may I have your attention? That's the
Yeah.
first line in her book. And what she talks about is
Yeah.
that we're only 50% involved in the things we do. And so when we go on autopilot, we're not
Yeah.
recognizing life. I wish I knew the book off the top of my head, but I just bought it. So I need to look it up. I have not read it yet, but it's about being in the moment, not to be confused with mindfulness, meditation. It's about noticing things around
Well,
you, being present.
that that's mindfulness. And I've always said
Yeah.
it's meditation's a pathway to mindfulness, but mindfulness is really being conscious and aware of the unfolding experience,
Yeah.
right?
So
I
I
mean,
guess the
that's
point is it's not
okay.
it's just to find the thing that brings you joy. What lights you up? That's the thing that you need to do. And if you can't if you can find time to weave it into your work day, that's great. But a lot of people, the things they find joy in, the things that light them up are the things they do right on the weekends or when they leave work. So if you're lucky enough that your
Right.
work brings you that same joy, well, then you're winning at life. But for a lot of people, it's what you do, on your off time. But that's okay too, because that will still fill you up. That's how you find joy. That's how you even live another day at maybe a job that you don't like, by filling your cup with the things that you do, and then you go back to work and you can do it all over again. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it's interesting because you're doing your CrossFitty stuff. And so what was really resonant with me in the middle of this research article was that life satisfaction raises significantly as you go from doing personally rewarding stuff of low value to those of high value. It said, look, those activities that are considered good for you, okay, there's actually more value in those personally rewarding activities. But what a cool thing if you can get both.
Oh my
And
gosh. Yeah.
you've really urged me. I'm a Blinkist junkie. It's a great app that summarizes books and has daily learnings and things. And I am working to increase the time that I'm reading.
Yeah.
And so I have to somehow say that that's good for me because I'm stretching this intellectual curiosity that I have, but it feels kind of passive.
Hmm.
Push up against that. I find it personally rewarding and I think it's good for me. Am
I
I
don't think that's
deceiving
passive
myself?
at all. No, I think going back to what we said is when you sort of come to consciousness and then you say, what did I even get out of that? That's where the doom
Mm,
scrolling comes. But when you're reading, you're learning something or you're being entertained. And listen, there is such an important point here for leisure. We need to unplug sometimes and do things. Allow yourself to scroll. If that makes you happy to scroll through TikTok and at the end of that you're just going to laugh, but you're really going to get nothing from it. But allow yourself that, earn that. I think the point is that don't let it take over when you have other things that you need to do. And I firmly believe that you should do what you have to do before you do what you want to do. But we all need to build in those disruptors and make sure that we're allowing vacation leisure time, or just to say,
yeah.
I am giving myself permission to binge watch on Netflix a television show that I've been wanting to watch. I mean, that there is no greater joy in that than sitting down and binge watching The Bear.
Okay, I have to watch that because Kristen, you know
So
what I
good.
do? Okay, I
What?
hope nobody's listening right now. My super fave thing is in periods of time, I will find a series on Netflix or Hulu or Prime or wherever, and I will queue it. Then I will get my little baskets and bins and drawers. I will bring them out to the living room where I'm going to watch my shows, and I watch the show and reorganize my drawers and donate shit. I freaking
Wow.
love, 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 love
You've just
it.
you've just cracked the code
I
for
did.
passive.
I don't
You've
know.
just turned
I
binge
go Marie
watching.
Kondo. I go Marie
Yeah,
Kondo. Look, I
you've
put it
turned
on
it
the
from
thing.
a passive time waster into something solo productive.
Ooh, don't.
I can't even
Are
tell you how impressed I am right now.
you're impressed, or are you challenging this, saying, "Look, that's not leisure time." Like,
No,
I
well, so
love
for someone
it.
who's an overachiever, I'm literally obsessed with that idea, because you can still be entertained by the show, but you're
Yep,
also doing something that's kind of
yep.
no brainer. You don't have to really think about reorganizing. At least I don't, you don't, because we're just so good at it. But no, I love that because that makes you feel less
Okay.
guilty. It's sort of like, there's also, speaking of hacks, like, there's also other things you can do. You can even maybe perhaps scroll while you're, I don't know, on the elliptical, or something where you're allowing yourself
Okay.
to do something where you're also being productive at the same time. So see, this is the overachiever in
So
me,
we're
is like, okay,
justified.
I
Right.
know I
2
want to
for
do the
1.
passive
With
thing, but I also want to accomplish something.
I want to do the passive thing, but I don't wanna suck. Like,
I know. I don't want to
right?
be a lazy bum, right? Yeah.
Oh,
There have
God.
been times, oh my God, she's going to kill me. But
The
there
word
was a
deep shit.
time, like it was about a month ago, and we hadn't done anything all day. Oh, because I think that we had a little too much tequila the night before. So
Oh,
it
that
was
was
a
that night.
Sunday. It was a
Uh-huh.
Sunday and we were laying around and I was like, we need to stop this. So I was like, listen, if we're going to watch TV all day, then we have to earn it. So I rolled the Peloton out from the other room and we got the walking pad out. And Chris is like, are you kidding me right now? So I'm like, the only way that we can earn this lazy day is we have to exercise while we're watching TV. And so she was so mad at me.
We're supposed to be helping people.
I know. This is the
Not
antithesis.
helpful. Okay.
This is the
Okay.
antithesis of helpfulness.
Well, maybe it'll resonate with some folks, right? Because this next one is mine and mine alone.
Mhm.
Well, it's not mine and mine alone, but number 4, which is my favorite number,
Mhm.
right? Okay. Diversify your activities. How many people do we know? They pick up a hobby and they go so all into this hobby, it becomes it rules their life. It is the thing that's their life. They now have, I don't know, pickleball shirts and pickleball tattoos and pickleball license frames. And their entire closet shifts from normal people shit to pickleball. It's like, that's why we called it a cult. But it's
Okay.
really cool. It's a
Okay,
hobby
still.
that taken to excess becomes decreasing joy in their life. I'm
Okay,
just gonna
but
say it.
wait, or does
they
it?
just bump
Okay.
their friends and their people that they're in space with, and they find new pickleball people. Okay? Help. Look, I'm crossing
Which
arms.
just perpetuates the pickleball cult when you meet more pickleball. Okay, but what would you say to Malcolm Gladwell with 10,000 hours of mastery? Like what motivates
Okay,
humans
tipping point.
is
Oh,
autonomy, mastery,
yes.
and purpose. And human beings are wired for mastery. We want to become better at the thing that we do. For example, you, my love, are dressed the part and you are going to go out and you're going to hit the white ball and you're going to chase the white ball. And you're going to do that in an effort to become better at it.
Yes.
Just like Malcolm Gladwell would say, 10,000 hours. And it's a thing that you enjoy doing. Now, pickleball, I would argue it's not for you and me, but for our pals that are really into it, it's the same thing. And so I love this idea of diversify your activities, but it also pushes against the thing of mastery, of getting better at the thing that you really like to do. So I don't know, what would you say about that? We still have to kind of learn new things.
We do have to learn new things. I think trying things is great. The research says variety, not depth, boosts happiness.
Ooh.
I also have to say that what Malcolm Gladwell was touching on is same as like Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor and Stoic, who said that the period of our apprenticeship is the longest period of our life, right?
Mhm.
And so I think there's a real distinction that needs to be drawn about, we're not talking about a skill, right?
Okay.
We're talking about a variety of activities. So if you want to spend your 10,000 hours to really seek mastery, do it. If you're a welder or you're a whatever you are, and here he
Oh.
comes. And but what we're saying is that what a lot of folks, the research is showing, when they get too involved in the hobby becomes the thing and they're all in. Oh, hello. Is that Socrates? Is that Marcus Aurelius?
It's Marcus Aurelius. Since you brought him up,
Those
I
of
thought I
you
would
that
bring
are
him into
just
frame.
listening,
But someone even more wise has something to say, and it's Ted, our producer.
So I'm reading this book,
Take Back the Game.
Take Back the Game.
by Linda
So
Flanagan.
it's about how the youth sports culture has kind of taken over families, parents, kids. But I just this morning was reading a part where they reference the book Range. Did you all read that one?
I did.
No.
Why Generalists Triumph in a Specialized World by David Epstein. That's a good one. So I read that a few years ago. And then in this chapter, they're talking about Division I athletes that coaches want. Like there's a Dabo Sweeney for Clemson, the head football coach at Clemson. He looks for players who played multiple sports in high school. He would prefer that than the kid who specialized only playing football his whole career, because a lot of them have topped out. But also, and you know this from just as an athlete, being athletic if you just do one sort of training, you're going to run into injury risk and things. But by playing a lot of different sports, hearing different voices from different coaches, moving different muscles for what that particular sport requires, that makes you a better overall athlete. And then when you do decide to kind of zone in on whatever that sport is, you're better off for it.
I love this. So I think what we're doing is we are firing Malcolm Gladwell in his idea of the 10,000 hours of mastery. And I think that we're bringing in, I was just looking for that book. I have it, so still don't buy it. But I have the book Range, and it is so good. That's exactly what we're talking about, diversifying our activities and doing a little bit of a lot. So I think that is a tool for leaders. Encourage people also, in your charge to pursue multiple outlets. So, maybe that can work for our organizations as well. But personally, I think that variety protects against monotony and it keeps joy alive.
Yeah, and I have to say, just this morning, I read a Blinkist summary of a book, how the Danish parenting, and it said that in the United States, we overcommit our kids on their weekends. There's no free play. And one of the central tenets to the Danish people and their optimism, resilience, and grit is that they provide absolute free, unstructured time to their kids.
I love it. And that breeds creativity.
Breeds creativity, resilience, innovation, and just, well, like as a kid, my parents would just release us. I said I was a feral cat before. We would just make up games. Yeah. And we would play a variety of games, board games and other active games. We played SWAT. Yep. I was learning about micro and macro terrain as a youngster. But that free time to just innovate. What are you thinking, Ted?
Well, I mean, as a parent, I'm reading about this, hearing about this now, and not only the book, the Take Back the Game, talks about this, but I think it's called the Coddling of the American Mind by Jonathan Haidt. He's the one who also, what was that one that I can't think right now, but they talk a lot about kids don't just play sports together anymore. And so when that happens, when a bunch of kids are playing together, there's an unspoken common interest to keep the game going, right? So you can't make rules that everybody else hates, or you can't break the rules or cheat or do something, because then kids are going to wander off and the game breaks up. Yeah. And they have to learn that, right? They learn how to negotiate. They learn how to navigate those processes, as opposed to having maybe teachers on the playground or dads on the sideline, ruling on everything. Yes. And where do I need to move to have this parenting? Where you said it was
Denmark. Denmark. Okay. You were talking about Jonathan Haidt, who wrote The Righteous Mind: Why Good People Are Divided About Politics and Religion. It's the same guy that coddled. Is that the guy, Ted?
Yeah, no, he's
something.
Gosh, why can't I think of the book that he just wrote that he's on the? It's about getting cell phones out of kids' hands, and he's on this crusade to keep kids off social media till they're 16. He's done some real work where I think Australia had some sort of a national ban of cell phones in a school or something like that. So and I wish I could think of that. I'm going to find it.
Yeah. And I owed you the book too, it's called Peak Mind, and it's by Dr. Amishi Jha. And that's what we talked about, find your focus. So a lot of books to talk about here, but I love what Ted is bringing up, and especially in the Denmark study, is that this is precisely what brings joy. Is diversifying the activities, letting people have free play. That goes to adults as well. When is the last time you turned your phone off and you turned that, big box off of your television, turned it off, and you were just, quiet? I know you do, because you practice this. This is a routine for you, but most people don't. When I give my keynotes, I ask people, when is the last time you spent 10 minutes in just complete silence, where you were just thinking about something, or where you go into a creative space? And hardly anyone does it. And yet that is where new ideas become, start as seeds. And it's when we put everything aside.
The Anxious Generation. That's the book.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. I've listened to him on a lot of podcasts. So if you're not a reader, Google his name, and he's on tons of podcasts.
Yes, he's all over the place, and it's his crusade now, and God bless him for it.
Right. But so John's ruined. There's hope for Maryland. It's kind of, I'm hearing.
No, what's interesting is we were pretty fortunate as far as when our kids were born, 2010 is when he thinks the thing really changed. And that's when front facing cameras became, something that was on everybody's phone. So now you got selfies. That's when social
Okay.
media really took off, and the two went hand in hand, like the selfies and the social media. And so now kids were putting themselves out there, judging their worth based on comments, likes, bad comments, all those things. But nobody knew at the time, right? In 2010, you're kind of handing your 3-year-old a cell phone so you can have a nice dinner. And at least now, the parents, who started a little bit later than that, we've still got a fighting chance because we know the damage it can do.
Yeah.
But for those who were, 13, 12 to, anywhere from 10 to 14 years old in 2010, that's where it really hurt. And that's why when he writes The Coddling of the American Mind, that is a big part of why kids going into college somewhere around 2012 and after were just so unprepared to live independently from their parents and from the structure they had around them, and why so many of them, I can't remember what he calls it. It's almost like you get in this discovery mode or danger mode. And you used to be, I think when we all went to college, you're in that discovery mode of what can I do next and what's over here and what activity can I get involved in and who am I going to meet? The danger zone keeps you in your dorm room where you can kind of hide behind your phone, where you can do your homework and you can get what you need, what you think you need off your phone. And so you don't ever have to go venture out. And that's what they saw. And they saw that happen right around that 2010, 11, 12 time.
Yeah, and we're mistaking that for connection. The likes,
Yes.
that we get the dopamine fix off of the likes and the retweets and all of those things, but that's not actual human connection. And we have convinced ourselves that it is. And I think what we're learning now, and the science is showing, is that it actually does the opposite. It makes us feel more isolated from other people.
Sure. And so some people in the first responder enterprise will say, look, I can't be away from my phone. And we would say, look, you have an opportunity to set certain types of tones for certain calls and certain text messages. And there's an encouraging piece here for you to consider is you can set those for dispatch or whomever would call you in an emergency and only respond to those when you are doing this thing that Kristen just talked about. Put your phone aside. But there's also this fifth piece, right, Kristen? So we have gone through, number 1 is engage with others. Number 2 is avoid passive pursuits. Number 3 is follow your passions. Number 4, love it, diversify your activities. And number 5, protect your time. Let's talk about that one.
Yeah, I think that people who consistently feel joy, they don't have more free time than others. They just are really good at guarding the time they have. So I think the premise here is to schedule your joy. I know that sounds so stupid, but even if it's just 15 or 20 minutes of scheduling something that energizes you, whatever you want to call it, passion or energy, that has a compounding effect on your energy and satisfaction. And to your point, leaders have to do this too. Leaders have to model this. When the boss builds boundaries, then the team feels permission to do the same. I will tell you that I failed at this miserably, and you can ask my family. It didn't matter if we were all sitting at dinner. If my phone rang and it was the union president or a police officer, I would excuse myself. I would leave the dinner table and I would go take the call. And I remember them saying, my kids, like, hey, can that wait? And I thought, no, this is work. It cannot wait. And I got that absolutely wrong. So I think we need to protect our time because that protects our sanity.
Yeah, and inevitability of one spilling into the other, either work into other parts of life or life spilling into work. Those are inevitable. But it is about, like what you said, it is about recognizing that your well-being and your joy are enhanced when you have clear boundaries. And there's some tools that you can use to set those boundaries. One we suggested about text tones or ringtones, sure. That wasn't in the research study from Harvard. That comes from us. But we really encourage the setting of clear boundaries.
Yeah. And I think that what we do is we reward productivity, we glorify productivity,
Yeah.
but we forget that joy is productive. Even more so. That's what
Yeah.
combats burnout, when we can deliberately seek positive emotions and we know how to do that, to go find people in connection or to have solo activities that fill our buckets. There are so many
Yeah.
ways, but we have to become conscious of it and then do it.
Yeah. Because none of us are getting any extra hours, right? In a day.
No.
It's just choosing how we're going to spend the hours that we have.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
That's a great way to bring it home.
right. So, Kristen, as we really examine this and what our listeners are asking for, it's like, how do I actually find joy? I mean, I have achievement, I have meaningful work that I do, but joy is like, you think these 5 things, if really made intentional and purposeful, can add some kind of micro adjustments, micro steps to the joy that leaders feel?
I do. And I think that listeners, all of our bunnies out there, I hope that you walked away with at least one idea, one
Yep.
shift that you can make to bring a little more joy into your daily grind. So I think that the shift in mindset is that joy isn't frivolous, it's fuel. When
Ugh.
we protect it, we perform better and we lead better
Ooh.
and we live better.
Wow. I'm going to take that
Put that on a
onto the
t-shirt.
golf course this afternoon. Wait, you said fun is not frivolous, it's
Joy
fuel?
isn't frivolous, it's fuel.
I thought fun is not frivolous, it's fuel. Because then there's a
Okay,
lot
so
of
that's
F, it's
alliteration.
almost like alliterate.
And you know we love
Right.
alliteration on this podcast.
We certainly do. We know it's not just the same sound, it can be just starting with the same letter. Honor Society
We were
man.
last week years old when we learned that.
All right. This has really given me some incredible fuel. I'm going to take that out on the golf course today. And then it's not only for me like perfecting the craft, it's being in nature and saying, this grass is so beautiful. There are a couple
Love it.
fucks in there when I hit a bad shot, but fun
I
is
love
fun
it.
too.
I love it.
Kind of.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, everybody,
So that
that's
was
it.
super helpful. Thanks,
Yeah.
Kristen.
Thank you. Thanks, producer Ted. So that's it for today's episode. I think we're walking away with the idea that the busiest people aren't joyful because they have time. They're joyful because they spend it differently. So it is fuel. All right, everybody. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, please like it, please review it, and tell everyone you know about it. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Our podcast is produced by Ted Madden, who's off of administrative leave. And the song you're about to hear was written and performed exclusively for us by my handsome and talented son, Jake Ziman, and his friends, Fabian and Zoe. If you like our podcast, again, follow us, tell everyone. And if you don't, move along. There's nothing more to see here. Keep filling your own bunnies and add substance to others. Bye, everybody.
Bye, solid bunnies.
When you look inside, what do you find? Are you content to fall behind? When you lose your way and you falter, why have courage and get ready to fight the hollow bunny? When the way ahead is covered in smoke and you're tired and you're scared and you're losing hope, you'll open your heart and your eyes and see a challenge and a question. Why not me? To fight the hollow bunny. And we all feel hollow sometimes, but the monsters are only in your mind. It's a tough pill to swallow, but if you're brave and kind, you'll be alright. If you fight the hollow bunny. When the challenge ahead scares you to death, you tame the imposter inside instead. To change the world, you've got to start small. It takes a leader to say, I don't know it all, and I know I'm gonna fall, but I'll pick it up and come back stronger, failing forward and moving onward, doing the hard thing and the right thing, forever fighting the hollow bunny. And we all feel hollow sometimes, but the monsters are only in your mind. It's a tough pill to swallow, but if you're brave and kind, you'll be alright. If you fight the hollow bunny. If you're tough on the outside but empty within, something's gonna crack, you've gotta start again. You're tough on the outside but